Aaron, well, let's do this thing. I'm going to bring you through a unscripted, unedited view of my systems as they stand right now. You uniquely are getting to see this. Nobody's actually seen it in its current state. So here we go. Um, Over here on the left hand side is my timeline, and that's 2 months worth per Frank DG. 2 months worth of months. So I have May and June. And then I have the months down here at the bottom. And then anything that needs to go into a particular month, so like next January, I've got taxes and Gracie's birthday, and I just, the things that I sort into the months once I create it. So when I get to beginning of December, I'll create January as the 2 months, I'll have December and January. I'll grab the stuff out of January and stick it in. So all year long, as I have things that come up that are specific to a month, I'll dump it in there, and that way it'll show up when I generate the month, basically 2 months in advance of it. Um, so that's that. And then I'll talk about how stuff gets in there. They're color coded. I'll jump into here. I'll jump into my task. So let me go back. Over here, I've got my timeline here. I've got my task list here. This is the task for today. I left them uncompleted so I could show them to you and show you how they work. These are actually the only mirrors almost that I use at all in my whole system is right here. It's nice because I share my tasks and my timeline and something else. Capture. I share these first three to my briefcase account. And then when I open up my phone, it's just pulling up those three, which don't have a ton of nodes in them, so they open up pretty quick. And if I mirror inside of this, there's not the mirror issue where like I'm mirroring from something outside into there, which causes the kind of problems with the mirrors. So what I do, so let's say I'm planning tomorrow, which I'll go ahead and do. Since these are all mirrors, I just delete them. So at the end of the day, like as I'm going through my day, I'm done church, I complete it. Depending, I can complete or delete it, doesn't matter. Did a membership interview today. I worked on the mastermind. I'm about to have date night. I just made sure the trash was going to got taken out, and I've got mow the back lawn, and I'm about to engage with my night routine. And then what I do is I just delete them at the end of the day, except for my night routine. That's not a mirror. I jump into my tasks. So you can see these are completed right here. So what I do, well, first let me tell you what's in here. What's in my task list that's currently on my current plate. That's what that means. It's currently on my plate. If it's not currently on my plate, it's in the calendar, or if it's further away than being on the calendar, it's over in my projects. But they're color coded. So you have red are the projects I'm currently in development on. These are the flywheels and workflows I'm cycling. So I've got my finances that I do regular updates on, my painting company, overseeing Connect Community, which is what we call Sunday School at church, and I oversee that. Streaming development and the mastermind I'm doing with Jim. So that's red, and those are backlinks. So those, if I jump into Paint, this is my business development right here. Not business development. These are my current projects. And it's like a Kanban board, or where there's like each is in its current state. So I need to contact these people. Actually, I just went and bid. I need to bid on that. Heaps, I'm waiting for. Check in May 7th. Jeffrey's Interior, I need to call, and Ron, I need to call. So I update this pretty much every day. It doesn't have to be every day, but I usually just kind of glance at it. make sure everything is in its right place. And then basically I know everything needs to move to the next category. And, ooh, I can do the interior. Ha ha. Okay, good, good, good. That's in process then. I have rain coming up next week, so I do need to go ahead and do that work. That's good to know. So I backlink from my project list, so I jumped all the way back out. So that's what those are. I jump into Connect Community Plans. There's my Connect Community Plans. So it's basically just my project management system for that. Streaming. There's my development. It's basically how I manage my streaming. And so I have, like, for example, here, I've got an inbox that I process every once in a while. Streaming is not like painting. I need to process regularly. Streaming, I process whenever I want to. I just do it fairly regularly, once a week or every couple of weeks. And then here, admin and content dev, these are just like brainstorms, ideas, just anything and everything goes into there, and it's just broken down by the different categories I've created. Yep. And then I have, these are my current projects. When I think about, okay, when I cycle through, I don't dip into here too often. I've dipped into here to pull these out. And those are currently things that I'm currently working on. And then inside of each of those, here's the podcast, course collaborations. I have, that's just something in development. Where's collaborations? I'm sorry. There it is, collabs. Here's all the people that I've thought about, different kinds of collaborations. So I pull out of those and dump those over into my sprint stream. And then there's in process, there's today. That plan was from actually that's Saturday. And then that goes into complete. Yeah. So that's what these are, basically, over here in tasks. I've got the projects. These are flywheels. So anything that I do for my areas of responsibility, I'm going to jump over to my areas of responsibility. That's these right here. Family, finances, holiday, home and property, inner life, interests, serving, planning and review, physical, relationships, and work. Anything that I do there, I handle rhythmic. If I make a commitment in an area of responsibility and it's a real commitment, like, yes, I'm agreeing to whatever, I handle that rhythmically. Pretty much, I think, exclusively. I don't know if there's any commitment I made that's not handled rhythmically, other than just one-off tasks where, even that's handled rhythmically. So that's anything in blue with this little recycle thing is something that's, popcorn and cereal night is part of family. Church is part of family and inner life. Date night is part of relationship with my wife. Trash is over, home and property. Mow back lawn is home and property. Club meeting is review. Captain meeting is review. Physical, haircuts physical. Renew vehicle. So anyway, all of these link to specific commitments I've made. It's not something in process. It's like commitments I've made in my areas of responsibility, and that's handled here. And then Flotsam is just next action, one-off, just individual things. Sometimes if I want to isolate something that's either in a project in one of these red things or something in a rhythmic that I just want to isolate to make sure I don't miss it or whatever, I'll drop it into there as a next action. And then when that's done, I just delete it or move it into my journal, depending on what it is. So that's and then I have calendar tasks, calendar events. So that's the 4 things right there. I've got calendar, projects or development stuff, flywheels, and Flotsam. Everything that's in my over here in my timeline is one of those 4 things. So you'll see these, same color coded things that I drop into particular days. And then when the day arrives, as it cycles up, when the day, over here Sunday, I'll eventually be done that, and I'll just complete it. I'll move my journaling into that. Control Z. I'll grab this. I'll drop it in, and then I'll complete it. And then at the end of the month, I move it over into a calendar archive. Okay. So the way I do my tasks, so say tomorrow, let's expand these. What I'll do so I'll do that. I'll do this for tomorrow. Tomorrow, what do I want to work on? So I just alt select. I'm going to work on finances and paint and connect community plans and stream. This tomorrow, since I'll be home, I'm going to be working on a lot of this computer stuff. Have a club meeting with Gracie and a captain's meeting where I just kind of review everything. Renew vehicle tags. I want to see if I can do that online. That, call on a bill. I'm going to check in with him. I'm going to think through that. Think through that as a part of work. Gracie asked me to look for a particular grommet to mount to a felt or a cork board. And that. Then I mirror them. Alt Shift M. And I put them into, I complete that. Control V. And then, honestly, all of this is at home. I won't be in town tomorrow, so I'm going to complete town. Basically, I'll show you, I have home, town, and home. If I'm going to be going to town, anything I want to do before I leave, I drop into that first home. Then anything I want to do in town, I put in order. And then anything I'm going to do at night. But tomorrow, I'm just going to be home, so I'm going to drop them all there. Hide complete. And there's my task list for the day. So I've gotten you into, like, here's how my calendar works, and then that moves into my tasks. How do things get into there? So if I come over to family, here's the little, so if I cut, here's family, drop down finances. These all look the same. Holiday's different because I handle it completely different than anything else. I could probably drop it into the same thing. You have backlog. So I've organized everything having to do with home and property here. Things that need to be done, information about my house, what paints I've used, all that different stuff. I've got projects and tasks up at the top. So what I do is I move things, and this is on it's almost like a someday maybe list / project in development. So I come in and I develop it a little bit, like a iterative development. And these all look the same. This is my inner life. Again, projects and tasks. Inbox is supposed to be here. And then things that there's a ton of stuff in there. Interests, same thing. So basically, all of these inside of each of my things looks the same. I've got it to that point. You see sprint, in process, and complete. This actually came from, I'm going to jump into stream. This actually came from this. This started working so well. This is for my streaming. I had my backlog, and then I broke it into the categorization that made sense to me, admin and content development. And then inside of that, there's some different stuff. And then I just started bringing stuff out of it, moving it up over to stream. this is a level I want to develop. Projects. These are these probably could go all of these. In fact, let's do this. Let's do this. That really belongs there. Yep. Yep, yep. Um and then I don't really use Sprint anymore. So this is kind of a legacy item. It's more like the things that I currently want to be working on. And so out of these projects, so basically this is something I would do on an ad hoc basis slash once a quarter. Kind of develop this, make sure everything in my inbox is where it needs to be, and then once a month to once a quarter, every 2 months, whatever. Um, Pull things like go do a deeper dive into this and pull out the projects that are inherent here. These are all the That's not all possible projects, but a lot of this is possible projects. Some of it's just reference material. Pull out like here's where I'm at with my current streaming career, things that I want to keep at the forefront and want to work on this coming quarter or so, something like that. And then out of that, probably sprint in this case is really once a week. So actually, I'll just go through and pull out things that I do want to work on. One thing I hate is that this is right here. Let me jump in this way. Channel Point redeems. Always thank the bus driver. Streamer interviews. Streamer talk. Salutes coaching. Caffeinated dads. Merch. So anything I want to do anything about this week. Mod Squad 100-day journey. And then I'm going to Control X and drop those into Sprint. So that's the process. I have my admin, content dev stuff gets pulled up into here and gets moved over. And so from here, if something is a specific event, reoccurring thing, like now Cafe Customs is a reoccurring thing. So that's on every Friday. I host custom Fortnite games. So that's a commitment I made inside of an area of responsibility, which interests is one of my areas of responsibility. And so I've made a commitment so the community knows they can plan on unless something comes up that I can't do it, and I'll let them know if that happens. I'll be hosting customs from 7 to 11 every Friday night. So out of this comes tasks, some of which, if they are things that I need to handle as a task as opposed to project development, which I handle here, it gets siphoned up to my calendar. So this little mechanism of I've got this deep well of reference and someday maybe stuff that's over here in backlog. It gets pulled up into projects, things I want to work on roughly this quarter and keep in mind right now. That gets siphoned over into Sprint. If it's a development thing, it'll stay there because over here I have stream development. So I'm going to click on that tomorrow and jump. Actually, I need to change. Stream. Sorry, let me do this right quick. Copy internal link. I'm going to replace this. Control V. Now that should bring me there. Okay, it was bringing me to the wrong place inside of this. So because I have as one of my projects, stream development, if it's a project that's developing my stream, it's going to stay here. I'm going to cycle over to it. But if as I'm developing something, something either becomes a reoccurring thing or an individual task. So, for example, I've got a 24-hour birthday stream in Raid Train that I'm developing. So, my birthday's coming up on the 26th of the month. On the 25th, I'm doing a 12-hour stream slash 24-hour Raid Train on Twitch. I want to explain what that. But basically, what I need to do is come up with a 24-hour plan, and then some of that is going to be specific things that I need to specifically do to interact with people. Those will get pulled out as flotsam and put on a particular day. But I'll be continuing to work on the development of that, and that will stay here. Only individual things. And there actually, it should be over here on May 25th. Have I already done this? Yeah, 24-hour birthday stream, which should be this color. Nope. This color. So that's a calendar event that I've already committed to. People know that that's coming up. So that flow of over here, guess when I'm pointing like this, that doesn't make sense. I've got this backlog of possible tasks and reference material inside of an area of responsibility that gets pulled up. This just started to work. It just worked. I'm like, this just works. Stuff is moving over, and over here on, I'm going to show completed. Here's my completed list. This is just stuff that I've completed by using this system. I'm like, huh, stuff is really just getting done. So that works. Control Shift Backspace. And so I thought, okay, that's just something that for whatever reason works for me. And so I duplicated that in all of my areas of responsibility, that same idea. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm now developing this. And this is what my project for our mastermind that Jim and I are doing is working on this. So I'm slowly in development. And what you just saw me do with stream is what I'll be continuing to develop and work on. So for example, reference work. This is my overall work, which includes painting development and other kinds of work that I do. But inside of that, paint projects. Like I've had this actually not quite as well developed, but like yesterday, the day before, I got it to this point. I'm like, oh, there it is. That's what it needs to look like. That feels very comfortable for me. Just that flow from column to column, and each category representing the kind of next step that each of the jobs needs to take. So I'm kind of going in and getting everything to the place where it's a feeder to my calendar and my task list. And they all kind of look the same. That's the fractal nature of it, is all inside of here. But it feels very much the same as things moving to the top and moving over. So things move up, as I complete Sunday, Monday, when I get to Tuesday, stuff from Tuesday will get dumped into this task list over here and get filtered up into the today list. So it moves up and over and then gets complete. And if something's complete, actually there's some stuff that's complete. I can show you. Let me show complete tasks. So for example, well, today, these three things I'll move to this month, and that'll be to next Sunday. Church and stuff from today. Actually, I need to move this, move to next month. That'll be, no, move to this month. Move this month. Saturday. Move to this month to next Saturday. Yeah, so those things have all been completed. This membership interview got completed, but I only did one. There's two. And so I need to move that. Actually, I need to move that to tomorrow. So I'm going to mirror that. into tomorrow. Okay. So basically, that flow, things move to the top, move to the next natural section that they belong in, and then move to the next kind of destination. In this case, if something has that little recycle, like this one does, that's going to get dumped back into the next week, the next month, or or a month if it's something from this year. From May, and once I complete a May task, I will dump it back into May for next year. So that flow, things move to the top, move over, get completed, and either get done and moved into my journal, or move back into my calendar if that's where it belongs, or gets moved back into a project. Just that flow is what it feels like to jump into. So, for example, I've been working on thinking through, as the dad part of the situation, what can I do to help my son, my 17-year-old son, get from where he is, dependent on me, to independent. So I created this, looks just the same. And it's that, like, as soon as I get here, I know what to do here. It's familiar and it works. And this is the system that works for me, where things move up to the top, move over, get to the destination that they need to. And then once they get complete, you kind of move them to their final destination, either recycle them back in or move them to complete, is how my whole system feels to me, wherever I'm at. This is deep. This is like, I'll show you where this is. So here's my home screen. I come over here to, these are my areas of responsibility, to family, parenting. See, this looks the same. I jump into parenting and I jump into Ronald, and that looks the same. It always looks the same, and it just feeds up and out, up and out. And so basically I just kind of duplicated my areas of responsibility as a starter kit and started to think through, right now I'm kind of in the development phase. Like, what would it look like as the dad part of it? He's going to have his own stuff, but what can I be thinking through and doing to create an environment where he and I can work well together, because we don't. So I'm just trying to work on that. So yeah, I'll actually this. Let me do this. So this is what this looks like. This is currently on my current plate. It's different than anything else I'm doing for. This is like in development. I actually just realized this needs to be. I need to copy an internal link. Come over here. I'm going to go into my project list. And right here, and that's going to be red. And I'll create a little icon. There we go. Okay. Why is that not red? I don't know why that is. So anyway, that's actually, so along with finances, my company, Connect Community Plan, streaming, and the mastermind, that's something very specific that's in development. So that's going to go on my project list. That's on my current, what I'm currently working on and thinking about and talking to Gracie about and praying about and talking to Ronald about. And that's kind of in development. So now that I will mirror that into my tasks, because I'll definitely be working on that tomorrow. Probably nothing more important that I'm working on than that right now. So anyway, yeah, so that's what it looks like to get fed from inside of one of my areas of responsibility, inside of family. And it kind of moves up and then over, and it gets worked on from here. And then if individual projects, like I think I'm going to install a whiteboard on his bedroom wall, maybe, if he's interested in that. So that would go on to a flotsam, you know, that would look like this. Install whiteboard. So if he on Ronald's wall, if that would be something that would get fed out of his project. What that actually would typically look like is projects, room development, whiteboard, or something like that. And then once I decide, okay, that's something that's going to happen, that would get, this week, that would get moved into sprint and then get fed over. I'd jump the gun on that just to show you, how something would turn from a development project into an actual task. Yeah, so that's the big deal. Is over here in my references, everything looks the same. It's that kind of Kanban board that gets fed up, gets fed over into my timeline, and then into my tasks, and then gets completed. Here's my daily log that I've been doing for years now. This is actually just an inbox right now. I've got this idea that I'm leaving here because I think it's really important. And it's in answer to this question: what is the beautiful thing I'm creating right now? And that beautiful thing, this kind of mental artwork of, and what I hope is, for example, what I hope is there will be 2 or 3 things that I currently have on my heart that I want to create. Something that's beautiful to me, that's kind of got itself inside of my mind and inside of my heart, and it's starting to kind of paint a vision for me. One of those is my wife's next birthday, for example. And it's, some specific thing that I want to accomplish or develop, but not just develop theoretically, but something very specific. Like, what will her birthday look like next January 1st? And kind of get myself inside of that picture, sitting here thinking, okay, today's January 1st. Look around. What does January 1st look like next year? What's true in the morning? Kind of develop that and kind of paint that picture out, and then start working on it. And that would be something beautiful I'm working on right now. And so I anticipate having 3. It may or may not be a development project. Like for Gracie, it would be like project management for her birthday. It may be an article that I want to write. But I want like the 2 or 3 like top things that really have gripped my attention. And I call it canvas because in my mind I call them canvas moments. Like when I get to that thing in the future, here's what I want to look like. I'm going to develop it as though I'm in the future right now and kind of paint what I see, and then work my way towards that painting to develop it. I've had several of those in the past in my life, and they're immensely powerful. But they almost, I can't, I'm trying to figure out if there's a way that I can make them happen. Before, it's just been something that suddenly occurred to me, and I start to like really, think about it a lot, and it kind of paints itself, and then I start working towards it. And it's almost like it's just been spontaneous stuff that's happened. But it's been probably the most powerful, motivating, productive things in my life are those canvas moments that I've suddenly got an image like, ooh, wouldn't that be cool if by the time I get to this point on some particular situation on a construction project or whatever, if this thing in my mind was true. And so that I'll work 80 hours a week to make that's just super powerful to me. Like for you, it may have been, I don't know if this is like an exact duplicate, but you in your mind saw that your studio, your office that you've built out, and like really just kind of started to paint the picture of what it would look like. Had a deadline. I know you missed it because you had the accident, but kind of had this. I want to have this occur by this time, and this is what I want to have true, and kind of painted this picture out in the future, and then worked your way towards it. That's maybe a duplicate. I don't know if it's the same thing, kind of psychologically for you, but when I get those pictures in my mind, I'll work forever to make those true if they're powerful enough pictures. That's what Canvas is. Right now, it's just an inbox. I just dump stuff there. But in fact, maybe I'll just I'll it needs to go on my task list. I'll just put this. No, yeah. Canvas moment board development. There, I'll stick that there for now. I'll put it where it needs to go later. That'll remind me to work on this, because if I can get that operational where I can like not just let these things happen to me, but let myself focus on particular things long enough to let the kind of force of that Canvas moment develop, then maybe that'll work. If I could predictably have three things that those things are operating in, that would be unbelievably powerful for me. So yeah, it's kind of it. What it looks like, I showed you. Basically, it's a self-feeding thing where this mastermind thing gets me over to work on the development of these things. And then as I work on those things, they feed my calendar, and then the calendar feed my tasks. And that cycle just keeps on weaving itself together. But what it looks like is what you saw. Sometimes it's me sitting and just thinking through my relationship with my son and just kind of brainstorming. And then that slowly feeds projects that come over into my calendar. But on a daily basis, it literally just looks like jumping into tasks, alt selecting the things I want to work on, mirroring them. So that just literally takes 15 seconds or something to mirror this into here. So a total of about a minute per day to grab this stuff, stick it where it goes in my task list, and then create my task list for the day. And then I complete this because I'm done with that for the day. And there I have, and then I can order this however I want to. And then at the end of the day, I just come in, and delete those because they're all mirrors, and do it again. So literally 1 minute per day to manage this kind of massive system. And then I do the work, and it takes whatever time it does to do the development for my work, stuff, or, individual projects. Control Z, because I want those. So yeah, it's that 1 minute. It's so effortless to manage this. I'm not having to go over here to projects and figure out what tasks over here in the projects and pull those in, and none of that. It's just about 1 minute per day. And that's thanks in large part to this timeline where it's just feeding up, and it's like a really trusted system. I know it works, and it works perfectly. And it's because I know if I have something that's month related sometime in the next coming 12 months, I just stick it in the month, and I know it's going to feed up. I know that I can completely trust that that's going to come up on the day I need to know it. And then just slowly things kind of like a workflow, like a conveyor belt, feed themselves up to the top, and I move them over. For some reason, I had completed Monday and Sunday, which I can kind of uncomplete. All right, that's it. It's so simple. It's so effortless. It's kind of nothing special, but the fact that it's so effortless to me is something really special. So anyway, there you go. 39 minutes later, for better or worse.